Toyota is set to lose millions of dollars and buyers stop believing the hype. Yes, there's a three-way challenge that Toyota has been facing and it's going to cost them significant amount of dollars and cents. Yes, unfortunately, Toyota is facing a three-way strike and some major headwinds with what is the latest news of catastrophic engine failures, crash test certification scandals, as well as a decline in sales in June by as much as 13%. Toyota has long lived and enjoyed a great reputation of durability, reliability, and most importantly, trustworthiness. But unfortunately, some of that trust seems to be waning, and a lot of customers seem to be complaining and talking about the fact that they don't understand how Toyota can mess up so bad in so many ways. We've heard about the scandals with the recertification crash test results, which definitely brought Toyota front and center. It was a tragic time, and even the leader of Toyota openly admitted that there was some mistakes, where they pre-ignited the airbags just to pass some tests. Certification test results were as well allegedly dollied to make them look a lot better and rosier than they actually were. And fortunately for a lot of buyers, many of those models have now since been retired, but the fact remains is the trustworthiness is coming out. We're also seeing China is also taking a significant part of the market share. Toyota has been challenged with a lot of the low-cost undercutting capabilities of a lot of the Chinese-made manufacturers in China, which is pushing Toyota off to the side, and they're not selling the number of cars and SUVs that they once hoped for. 13% decline in overall sales means that Toyota is not outputting the vehicles that they wish they could. And quite frankly, some of that has to do with strong competition from China and some of their other competitors from even Hondas as well as Mazdas. But the fact remains is the reputation has a little people taking pause and waiting. Do I want to buy that Toyota? Maybe I should look at something a little bit different. And while a lot of people have a lot of faith, and we went out and bought ourselves a new Toyota Camry a mere year ago because of the sheer reputation, a big part of that was the fact that it carried some of the older drivetrain, some of the older naturally aspirated four-cylinder engine that they carry. Because we know Toyota had some of the most reliable and robust drivetrains. The old 2.5, the old 3.5 naturally aspirated, as well as the 4.6 naturally aspirated V8 and the 5.7 liter naturally aspirated V8 was a workhorse that you found in the Tundras and the LX series of Lexus, were all bulletproof, long-lasting, good for 1 million miles, and that's why people bought them. But things have been changing. Toyota could often brag that they had pickup trucks, Tacomas, and Tundras that would go hundreds of thousands of miles, and even more importantly, many of them are still on the road driving around today. Sure, some of them might be rusted out, rotted out, but the engines just keep on ticking, and people love them for that. Their honesty, their brutal simplicity, the durability, and just the fact that you could wrench them at home. The parts were long-lasting, and these vehicles were indestructible. That's what people came to know and love about Toyota. But things have changed, and now in 2022 and 2023, a whole series of their Lexus LX 600, as well as their GX 550 newly released vehicle, and their brand new Toyota Tundra all share one thing in common. It's the V35A, which is their brand new twin-turbo V6 engine that seems to be plagued with all kinds of engine issues. So sadly, when people don't have a lot of extra money and they're clearly financially strapped, they often go to companies and brands that they can trust because they know once the warranty runs out, they know that people are keeping their vehicles longer, 12.7 years almost to be exact, versus a few short years ago, people were only keeping them 7 or 8 years. People are holding onto their vehicles longer, so they need to know that they can trust these vehicles. But all of this in the midst of these manufacturing crises, cost of living crisis. This is also pushing manufacturers. Look at Stellantis. Their operating costs are going through the roof. A lot of it has to do with labor costs, supply chain shortages, as well as increased costs of parts, means that a lot of these manufacturers are looking for creative ways to save costs. Pass that down to consumer. You're still paying more for that vehicle today than you ever have, but yet these OEMs are saying and bragging that they don't have the money and they're not making the profits, i.e. GM with gluing their door hinges on. Recently, over on Exotic Car Play Place, we stumbled across a local Lexus dealership that had a brand new LX 600 parked outside the service bay. It looked beautiful, had license plate on it. Clearly, it was an owner was driving this vehicle around. But then as we proceeded to walk around the vehicle, lo and behold, we were preceded by looking down the engine bay, which was hollow. They had rags and bags covering up the entire engine compartment because the engine was removed for one of these alleged catastrophic engine issues. Lexus LX600 has a whole pile of vehicles that are waiting outside of service bays to get their engines swapped out, as well as Toyota and the Tundra are also waiting for many customers that are dismayed and disappointed with the product that they just bought a year or 2 years ago. As a matter of fact, 102,000 vehicles combined between Toyota and Lexus are waiting to have their engines swapped out. Compliments San, Toyota and Lexus. To break this down, there's currently 98,568 Tundras waiting to get new engines, as well as 3,524 Lexus LX600s that are also looking and waiting to get brand new engines installed in their vehicles. And why is this happening? Well, there's been a lot of rhetoric, and allegedly there's been lots of information coming out of the Toyota camp, the forums, chitter chatter between the water coolers, and a lot of customers have been saying feedback has been getting, whether it's from the dealers direct, from Toyota officially, or all kinds of thinking that there's a whole pile of reasons why these engines are failing. Too low a grade of engine fuel that creates detonation, potentially banging and knocking and putting holes in the pistons. Could it be the type of oil that they're putting into vehicles and the wrong viscosity that's going in there? Could it be the oil service intervals, which are suggested to drop from 10,000 to 5,000 miles between, simply because now we're dealing with a hotter running turbocharged engine has much stronger demands on maintenance than the older outgoing, slow turning, reliable, naturally aspirated engines? Or could it in fact be true what Toyota is alleging, that there's metal particulates that are floating around in the engine case that eventually find their way to the outer ends of the crankshaft into the main bearings, overheating them, locking them up, and catastrophically failing the engines? Whatever the problem is, it looks like there's brand new engines going in for a whole host of, to the tune of 102,000 customers, owners of brand new Lexus LX600, as well as the Toyota Tundras. But if you happen to be an owner of one of these vehicles, how do you know what some of the typical symptoms are? Well, customers are saying clearly with this type of failure, you can get a lack of start. The engine could be seized. You could be a check engine light. You might hear weird knocking, losing power, running rough, are all potential symptoms of a bad engine or bearings going on the way out. Watch for those check engine lights and don't ignore those. Also, according to National Highway Transportation Safety Administration, the NHTSA, they're claiming there's about 824 claims against these particular vehicles, which look to be directly related to some of these catastrophic engine failures. So far, Toyota has not been reported any serious accidents, injuries, or worse related to any of these failures. And for true Toyota reliability fans, they often throw phrases around like, there's no replacement for displacement, or turbochargers are evil, or they don't build them like they used to. It's pretty clear some of the older naturally aspirated Toyota engines just seem to run over and over and over for hundreds of thousands of miles. And well, Toyota has never always got it right. Remember the old 3-liter V6 in the older Tacomas and the 4Runners? They had blown head gasket issues. They don't always get it right the first time. And if I'm a true believer that Toyota will get this right, I'd like to think that they'll sift through this, learn from their mistakes, and likely put the corrective actions in place and have a very happy customer at the back end of these repairs. Now, over on Reddit, a user named Dogmeat1 reported his 2022 Toyota Tundra 1794 edition that tried to go in for a warranty claim after his engine had allegedly failed, had made a comment that warranty was not covered under this type of issue. And sadly, he chronicled a whole pile of different invoices related to parts, labor, and it's substantial. A total of $19,360.48 for parts, and the labor totaled $10,510.50, hitting a mass grand total of over $32,500. Now, going on the base rough estimate, if every one of these claims or engine replacements is going in and is going to cost similar dollars, this calculates out to about $1.9 billion for Toyota in total losses. Now, of course, that's a rough estimate. It can vary. Labor costs, efficiencies, a whole engine might be cheaper than the sum of all of its parts. But at the end of the day, you get the gist. Toyota's going to be on the hook for a serious amount of money to rectify this problem. But it's a lot more than just the issue of parts and material and labor. It's the reputation they're most worried about. So please drop a line. I'd love to hear whether you trust Toyota. Would you buy a brand new Toyota? I'd love to hear it. Please drop a line. As well, check it out. You're going to love that video. Cost of living crisis is getting us all. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. See you real soon. Bye-bye.